Everyone has an expiration date. The countdown begins when you draw your first breath. No one is exempt from death.
Burial methods on our tiny island have changed over the years. In the past, grand monuments decorated our cemeteries. But with land scarcity, it is rare to see these in the newer plots today. In fact, the dead are also being evicted from their homes to make way for the living. Since 1985, a total of 21 cemeteries and approximately 120,000 graves have been exhumed. Cremated remains are now stored in columbariums in various locations island-wide. Urns are positioned accordingly to feng shui in these designated areas. The niches can be customized to the family's liking, such as placing miniature decorations and mementos to remember the dearly departed. They often spend tens of thousands of dollars for a final resting place. Death has indeed become a thriving business. The superstitious avoid the topic of death, believing it to be a bad omen. However, some see no harm in dealing with death and have turned it into a livelihood. Meet Ang Jo Lee. Born into a family of 4, Ang Yu Sing's second daughter took the funeral industry by storm and created her own identity.
No, you all do the invitation, don't send the food.
Okay.
Food give on 23rd, no time.
My dad passed away in 2004. He left behind a business. I have an elder sis and 2 younger siblings. And my mom was a housewife who was only assisting my dad. So it only makes sense for me to come into the business right at that point to assist my mom. And so that's the reason why I joined this industry.
However, her success did not come by chance. Jo Lee's presence was uncommon in a male-dominated industry.
1942, just before the start of the Japanese occupation in February 1942.
I'm always interested to be in the industry, but back then my mom was not so receptive to the fact of having female in the industry, and I think she had no choice because I wouldn't say I'm rebellious, but I would say that I didn't give her a choice. I just told her, Mom, I'm going to quit my job and help you. Nobody really knows who we are, so we have to slowly build the reputation. I try to change a lot of practices, or I have new ideas, so I try to influence my dad's staff. They usually say, 你会不会的? You know, can you do it? So that really acts as a driver to me, you know, to one day give a different perspective about the industry, to make female funeral directors be respected.
Despite the backlash, Jo Lee pushed on to prove herself with her desire to change the traditionally driven industry. This led her to become Singapore's first ever funeral celebrant.
Basically, what a funeral celebrant does is to officiate a funeral, so to share the life story of the person and give more closure to the family and the friends. I think there was one gentleman that I took care of. His wife, she's British. They have been living in Singapore for 6 years. So when he passed away, everything was done back home. And it was 2 months later when his wife came back. She was looking for a funeral celebrant. Along the way, I asked his wife, is there something that you can share with me that nobody knows except the two of you? And that was when she said, oh, he always liked the Zhao Cai Mao. So I asked her for permission. I said that this is very nice, poignant, memory about him. So can I buy like small little figurines of this fortune cat? And then during the funeral celebrant, I'm going to share about this. And every guest who came and friends of him will keep one of this fortune cat. So our job as a funeral celebrant is how do we get all these stories together and then we present it on the funeral day. I think that's why I keep sharing that phrase, funeral is not a day in a lifetime, but a lifetime in a day.
Jolie continues to aspire in changing the misconceptions of the profession. Ang Tzi Tian of Ang Chin Mo Funeral Directors shares the same mindset.
South Africa, Caribbean, UK.
He feels that the public needs to see the funeral industry in a new light, one that is less taboo.
When I was young in primary school, when they start, every student stand up and say what their father do for a living. So I was, some of them said policeman, some of them fireman. I say, oh, my father, we do funeral service, and he's a funeral director. So everyone was shocked. Everyone just shunned me for quite some time. And then next day, my classmate came to me and said that my mom told me that I cannot shake your hands because you will transfer back up to us and the whole family. I do not blame them because they do not fully understand. Because lack of knowledge equals to ignorance.
20 years on, Tzi Tian has seen and embraced the gradual acceptance of new burial methods introduced to the public. Welcome to Singapore's latest burial ground. Over the last 3 years, sea burials have gained popularity by 20 to 30%. Judy Kong chose this approach to send off her beloved auntie.
We didn't have to look for land for burial. We didn't have to get a niche for her. It will allow her spirit to go free. So I feel it's a preferred mode of burial.
There has been an increase in youths willing to join this once taboo profession. 27-year-old Shane Teo spends his time learning the trade of embalming. Growing up, he was not a typical child. Shane found interest in activities most children would never think about.
As a child, I used to have a lot of VHS tapes of documentaries on human anatomy, as well as horror movies. So that sort of like desensitized me to the whole morbid aspect of it. So I don't actually see it as something which I should be afraid of, because I've seen it through the screen a lot, and that in fact sparked an interest in me to find out what goes on beneath the skin.
We can tell from the way
When he joins the firm, I can tell that he's very committed. As I get to know him, he shared with me that he actually has interest in becoming an embalmer. And I asked him, Shane, what can I do to help you? So this is primarily my role. I'm grooming the next generation of funeral professionals for the death care industry.
The new generation has come to terms that death is here to stay. You either shun it or fully embrace the business practices and traditions of this unique industry. Hopefully, as Singapore continues to blossom as a first world country, her citizens will adapt to this new reality.
Extended family members like aunties and uncles do ask me why would I want to take up such a profession. It's a dirty job. There's lots of bodily fluids which you might get in contact with, and sometimes you expose yourself to the risk of getting HIV and stuff like that. But like any other medical profession, being a nurse, being a doctor, you're exposed to the same things. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if nobody's going to do it, then who will?
The funeral industry is not just a business. It is a calling. As funeral professionals, Zitian and Jolie have the same ideals towards their work. They both believe in treating the deceased and their families as if they were their own.
So a lot of people will not understand the funeral director's emotional need or support, because probably some people think that, oh, I think you must be so used to it, But I disagree, because every family, they are different and you serve them differently. The life story is different. So I never once felt that, oh, I'm used to it, I'm numb to the feeling. People ask me, is it okay to cry, for funeral directors to cry in a funeral? My take is, if my team members, which it happened before where we were handling a funeral, and some of my team members were tearing up, I said it's okay, because that means that you empathize with the family, and that means you still have compassion.
The death care industry has since transformed from the conventional image that they once carried. The stigma brought together with this profession is diminishing.
Is it a motor yacht or a sail? Is it a sailboat?
There is no denying the importance of their service.
I would say for me, what I feel strongly about is that if you do have a belief or something, then you stick to it. You don't let other people's perspective get to you, because the moment you do that, you start losing yourself.
It is my dream to provide from cradle to grave. So when you ask me whether will there be a day, I don't think I will be bored with what I'm doing. It's always looking at how can we better serve. I always share that the reason why I really like my work is because my work is like my teacher to life.
To them, death is not something to be feared. It is but the threshold upon which they write the final chapter to begin your next adventure.